Next, we will take a look at what is merging and appending the data sets. What is the difference between these two? Appending is simply you are consolidating multiple files into a single file. Merging also somewhat similar, but in the case of merging, you cannot blindly close your eyes and simply combine all the data files in a single file. You cannot do it. If you wanted to combine more than one file using merge option, you need to have the common column exist between the data sets. Otherwise, you cannot do the merging. Whereas in the case of appending, you can simply do the appending. I just write it here with some sample data. Merge is similar to your SQL queries join. Remember this in the interview, they'll ask you, okay? Appending is something like your union all operator in SQL query. In SQL query, the appending is about your union all, merging is your join. You know very well in SQL query, to join more than one table, you need to have the common column between the tables. Okay. For example, I have table 1, table 2. I want to combine these two tables into a single table. Then I need to have a common column available here. So what do you mean by common column? Okay, I will just write it here. For example, you have the dim customer table, customer dimension table is there. This is a naming convention. We use it, but when we pronunciate it, we say customer dimension. Okay. And this is your sales fact table. And here you have the, let's order on order number and order date. And you have something like customer ID. Customer ID or customer key will be there. Customer name will not be there here. But whereas here you have the customer ID as well as the customer name will also be there. Got it? Okay, this is your order number, order date, customer ID. But your manager wants to see, give me the, the sales breakdown by customer. In your report, display the sales, how much amount spent by each customer. I want to know the customer name. Along with that, I want to see how much money they spent in my store. So here, for example, John is the customer name. This one comes from this table. And here you have something called quantity and sales, right? And the sales column, it comes here. Okay, he bought it almost 232.02 or 2,232. Last week he purchased it. And then let's say you have Chris and he bought 6,032.11 cents. Okay, Chris. Here the sales comes from the sales fact table and the customer name comes from customer dimension table. Okay, so in order to fetch or get the values from two different tables, you need to have a common column between these two tables. First of all, you need to join these tables. If you wanted to query the data from more than one table, you need to join the tables. How do I join that? For that, you need to have the common column. With the common column only, you can join it. The same principle is applicable in SQL also. Okay, fine. So common column should be there in the case of merging to join more than one table. That's all. In the case of appending, I have week 1 sales and week 2 sales, something like that. Simply what I do is combine these to append, let's say here you have 1, 2, 3 records are there. And here you have 4, 5 records are there. Simply you combine these two things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all. Okay, it's not 1, 2, 3. Okay, here, for example, you have the customer key and customer name and quantity, sales, something like that. Okay, so you have different transactions are there. This is so in the week 1, whatever the sales you made it, right? The transaction that you made it, that detail is available here. And for week 2, you have a separate file. Week 2 sales are available here. Simply you can append these two things into a single file. But when you append the files, more than one file, say week 1, week 2, likewise week 3, week 4, we can add multiple file also. So in this case, week 1 sales, so week 1 sales, let's say in the case of Walmart, they have 2,500 plus locations are there. So week 1 sales of 2,500 locations data, you need to append it for per week 2,500 approximately. Okay, approximately you need to append all the data into a single file. And week 2 again you need to append everything, and then you need to combine these two things and put it in a common file. So this one will have fortnight data. What is fortnight? Every 15 days once, or monthly. If you want to have the monthly data, take week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 files, and then combine all the data like 1, 2, 3, and just you take these values and add it just beneath this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here you don't have to have a common column between the data sets, but make sure that the number of columns in all the files are same. Even it is not same, it is working fine, but you will end up having redundant columns. For example, in week 1 sales, you have a column called order date. ORD date is there. Whereas this is in a week 1 file. Okay, in the week 2 file, there is a column called order date. End of the day, these two columns are same. But in this file, they've given different name for the column. In this file, they've given different name. There is no consistency. What do you mean by consistency? Either they should have used ORD date here, or they should have used order date everywhere. But here one name, here one name. This is inconsistency. Okay. But make sure that, the column names are same. The column name, before you do the append, before you append the data, you make sure that the column names are same. Okay, here the column names are not same. Will it fail? It will not fail. It will, after you combine these two data sets into a single file, in your file you have two columns, order date and order date. This is ORD date, order date, two different columns. End of the day, these two are same. Just because the names are different, it will create, the additional redundant columns. Either you go here and change it ORD date, right? So you need to do little bit data pre-processing in case the column names are not same, and the data type should also be same. For example, in week 1, along with the order date, you have something called the sales column is there. It is a numeric column here. Whereas here also you have the sales column, but since you have combined the dollar with some number value, right? This column become a text data type. When you load the sales column, which is of text data type, into the sales column, which is of numeric data type, it will fail. You cannot load a text into the number data type. It will throw an error. Your job will fail. Remember that in week 1, you have 25 million records will be there. In week 2, you have 30 million records will be there. To load the 25 million itself, it takes 4 hours, 5 hours, sometimes 6 hours. And again, week 2 takes, after you load, spend 4 hours, 5 hours waiting there, right? And when it do the append, if that messes up, again, you'll have to stay late. Again, another 8 hours you need to sit at office and do the job. So try to be smart. What you do is first, before you append the data, check all the column names are similar, and data types also similar. This is very important. But the order of the column doesn't matter. In the latest version, for example, you have the sales column here, order date is here. Even if the order of the columns are not same, for example, here the order date is there, here the sales is there. Still, what happens when you join append these two data sets? It will go and check before combining these two data sets. Oh, sales data should go into this column. The order date should go into this column. Hence, order of the column doesn't matter. but the column name should be same between the data set. This is rule number 1, and the data type should also be same. Number of columns, ideally it should be same. Okay, even if the number of columns are not same, it will work, but it will cause unnecessary confusion. For example, in week 1, you have 26 columns are there, and in week 2, you have 24 columns are there. Okay, or 28 columns are there. You have some additional 2 columns are there. Do you really need these 2 columns? Okay, because when you combine the data from these 2 data set, make sure that the number of columns are logically same. Okay. Supposing you think, right, in this file, I have 28 columns are there, then 2 columns are missing here. If you think that way, you need to add additional 2 columns here and then you combine. If it is other way around, no, only 26 columns are written, but whereas here, you find out the columns, the 2 columns, which are not required. You exclude it and then you do the appending. So otherwise also it will work. But what will happen is in week 1, 26 columns will be there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, up to 26 columns will be there. 1 second, please. I have some gas. So though it is not mandatory, the number of columns not necessarily same across the files. But logically, let's make sure that the number of columns are same. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen is look here, in week 1, let's assume that hypothetically, let's take column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. Though it is a very trivial thing, but the impact is very high. That's why I'm explaining here. Let's say you have column 1 and column 3, column 4, and column 5 is there, and column 6, 7 is there. In this case, what will happen is you need to check with your application owner. Do I need to include the additional column? I can see some kind of mismatch. And if they say yes, you remove this, you can remove it. But if you don't ask anyone and if you merge it, what will happen is week 1, week 2 put together, you have a new file. After you combine this one, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7. And here you have 2, 4, 6. Likewise, values will be there. But in week 1, you have only 5 columns, right? For the week 1, what will you have? 25 million records are there. For the 25 million records, these 2 columns will have blank value. You agree with me or not, right? But in week 2, what will happen? You have the values 6, 8, 9, something like that. But here you have values here. Okay. Here you have values here. 25 million records are there in week 1. For the 25 million records of the week 1, these 2 columns will have the blank values in it. It will unnecessarily consume storage space. It looks like a sparse matrix. This is called your sparse matrix. The data is not dense. Somewhere blank spaces are there. Too much of blank spaces are there. That's your sparse matrix. So that is the reason it appears a very simple thing, but in real world we pose a lot of issues. Okay. That's why I'm saying always it is good. In case you find any problem with the data, be smart, talk to the customer, tell them, see, there is a problem here. Can you please clarify it? But before asking the question, check the documentation. That's all. Fine. So in the case of append, you don't need to have any common column exists between the files. You can, but we explain the rule of thumb. The rule of thumb is make sure that the number of columns are same and the data types are same for all the columns, and the name of the columns also same across the files. That's all. In the case of merge, you need to have a common column between the tables. Otherwise, you cannot do the merge. Otherwise, you cannot do the merge. But in the case of merge, it is also called a join. In SQL Server, we call it a join. We have something called inner join. Inner join. And then you have something called left outer join. Left outer join. So whatever the things are, the join types that are available in SQL query, that is available here also. Hence, if you understand this one, your SQL learning part also very easier, very interesting, right? Inner join, left outer join, right outer join. And then you have full outer join. Full outer join. And we have something else called left anti-join. Right anti-join. So these many number of types of joins are available. Inner join, left outer join, right outer join, full outer join, left anti-join, right anti-join. So one of my students, when she attended the interview, when I arranged it, right, with some company, when they asked her what is left anti-join, somehow she forgot it. She started telling about left outer join. Even though the interviewer started giving clue, but still she was talking about this one. This is very common in almost all the programming languages. Hence, it is mandatory. You should be knowing that. Especially in the case of ETL world. Okay, ETL stands for extraction, transmission, loading, because the data are coming from multiple sources, and we don't store all the data in single file, right? Fine. So now the question is, what is inner join? What is left outer join? All the things. Okay, and since I have many non-IT people are there in this batch, I'm going to explain it in detail. If you are already familiar, please bear with me. Okay, you might be bored. What is inner join? I'm going to write it here. Inner join. School time, we studied the Venn diagram. Here's something called A and B. This is my set A and set B. Okay, set A and set B. And here in the inner join, for example, 1, 2, 3 is there. And here you have 2, 3, 4 is there. So what are the common values between these two data sets? Priyanka, can you tell me what are the common values are there between these two data sets? 2 is there, here also 2 is there. 3 is there, 3 is there, right? 2, 3. But here 1 is there, but here 1 is not there. Here 4 is there, but 4 is not there. Only the common values. This is school time we studied. This is called our intersection, right? Intersect. This is what called as an inner join. The common value between the data set. Only the common value between the data set, you retrieve it. That is called our inner join. But there is a difference between intersect and inner join that I will explain it later. Okay, and then number 2 is, so that is another interview question. Though the inner join retrieve the common records between the data sets, okay, it retrieves the common records between the data sets. But there is a difference between intersect and inner join. We'll discuss it later, okay? Inner join. The common values between the data set will be written by inner join. The next one is left outer join. Left outer join. The same thing, I'm going to write it here. AB. In this case, you have 1, 2, 3, the same value. 2, 3, 4. So in the case of left outer join, what happens is it goes and checks, are there any matching values between these data? Yes, 2, 2 is there, 2, 3, 3 is there. So it will retrieve the matching values between the two data sets. 2, 3 when you use left outer join, and non-matching value between the data sets on the left side, 1, 1, 2, 3. In simple time, all the values from your left side table will be returned. But in the interview, when they ask you what is left outer join, matching values between the two data sets and non-matching value from the left side of the table, we are left with what other value apart from the matching value between the two data sets? We are left with what value in the left side of the table? 1, 1, 2, 3. The right outer join is the opposite. The same thing, but it's opposite, right outer join. Matching value between the two data sets, non-matching value on the right side of the table. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 is matching, 3, 3 is matching, 4. So here in this case, 2, 3, 4. In the case of left outer join, 2, 3 is common between these, and 1 is not common on the left side, hence it will put this one. Now you understood? This is very simple. And the next one is full outer join, all the value. Okay, A union B, A union B. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. Okay, full outer join. And then the next one is all the values from the both the data sets. Fine. That is what your full outer join. Full outer. And left anti-join. What is left anti-join? So you have the same thing. 1, 2, 3 and 2, 3, 4 here. Okay. Here, it will return only the non-matching value on the left side. Okay, 1. It will not return the common value between the two data sets. Rather, it will return only one non-matching value on the left side of the table, A, B. That is what your left anti-join. Left anti-join, only this side, okay? This side. So that means the common values falling here, right? Excluding the common values. Exclude the common value 2, 3. And then excluding the common value, you are left with only 1, right? That is the one. And what is the right anti-join? The opposite. Right anti-join. What is the right anti-join? Exclude the common value. Ignore this. You are left with 4, right? That is the one. Everything is fine, but in real-time scenario, when will you use what kind of join? Tell me, when did you use left anti-join? In the interview, they ask you. If you tell a theory like this, okay, exclude the matching value between the data set and return the non-matching value, return only the non-matching value from the left side of the table, fine. Or you can rephrase it in different way, fine. But end of the day, this is what is happening. But what kind of scenario you are going to use the left anti-join, right anti-join? Supposing you have 2 retail shop in Pune, okay, retail shop 1 and retail shop 2. At one point in time, as a business owner, you wanted to know what are the products that you sell it, which you don't sell it here. What are the products that you sell it here, which you don't sell it here? Okay, so which one? The one you don't sell it here, right? So in that kind of situation, you can use left anti-join. How you need to explain this to the interviewer? So we have 2 different data sets. We want to compare. There is a scenario wherein we want to compare what are the products we sell it in store 1, which you don't, we sell it in store 2. We want to retrieve it. And the opposite is right anti-join. Whatever the product that I sell it here, which I don't sell it here. 2 and 3, I sell it here, but I am interested in the product which I don't sell it here, 4, right? That is what is right anti-join. In that kind of situation, you can go for left anti-join, right anti-join. This is one scenario. Next question is, when can I use the left outer join? So it gives me simply all the records from my left side table, right? If you look at it here. So when can I use this one? What kind of scenario can I use it? And inner join, when can I use it? Okay, left outer join. So when can I use it? For example, you sell P1, P2, P3, P4. 4 products in your shop. Let's assume that. Okay, simple example. You sell 4 products in your shop, but not necessarily every day you will have, the customer have to buy all the products, right? P1, P1, P2, P3, P4. Every day they don't have to buy all the products. Or every week they don't have to buy all the products. Some week they buy P1, P3, P4. Some week they buy P2, P3, P4. But this week, right, every week, your manager wants to see a report wherein he wants to see whichever the products we sold it, along with that, which products we did not sell. In that kind of situation, lift outer join is helpful because it lists out all the products, right? Left side. For example, this is your invoice. Okay, this is your invoice table. This is what your product table. So all the product will get displayed. For example, this week you sold 3 units in product 2, and product 3 you did not sell anything. It will put null here. And product 4 you sold 2 items, and product 1 you sold 5. So here you null. So when you do the left outer join, all the products P1, P2, P3, whether you sold it or not, it display all the products. Since you are doing the left outer join with the invoice, right? You'll go and check this product ID is this product table's product ID. 2 and 3 is there. Sorry, let's P1, P2, P4 matching values are there, right? For these values, we sold it in the invoice, right? 5, 3, how many units? But P3 we did not sell it this week. Hence, it'll show null here. So in that kind of situation, you can use left outer join. The right outer join is, it's kind of an exception, okay, to find out some exception or something, that kind of situation, you can use it, the right outer join. Okay, in the interest of time, what I will do is I will start with append. Yeah, Priyanka's question, left outer join to see items sold in. No. See the left anti-join, okay, left, not our left outer join, okay, no, inner join, yeah, inner join. Yeah, not a left outer join, Priyanka, inner join. If you want to find out the common items between the stores, you can use inner join, okay? We have something like inner join. Yeah, that's a good question, okay? In store 1 and store 2, what are the products that are common, right? You can use inner join. Left or outer join is whatever the products, let's say your product table, invoice table. In the product invoice table, you have product key column, and product table, you have product key column. You want to display all the products along with the products that you invoiced it. For example, P1, P3, P4, you invoiced it, and P2, there are no sales. You did not raise any invoice. Still display the P2 because you wanted to know which products we are not selling well. You want to monitor it. That kind of situation, you can use left outer join. Okay, you can watch my video one more time. Okay, fine. So now I go to Power BI desktop. Wow, it is still opening. My God. See, first time when you launch the Power BI desktop, it will be slow. Better you can close it and then relaunch it again. Get data, click on the get data, and you can click on the Excel workbook. And in the dat1 folder, I have something called append1.xl, two Excel files. Okay, I have given the same name, append, so that you can easily find out once you download the file from my website. You know the link where you need to download the files, right? Data files. I'll explain you one more time, don't worry. I'm going to hit open. Select, this is a, see in this Excel file, this is a subsheet name. And if you see here, how many columns are there? 6 columns are there, right? We have 6 columns are there. I'm going to hit load now. Okay, let's wait for some time. It is being loaded. Okay, append data, one file got loaded. I'm going to open and load another file. Another file is append to Excel file. I'm going to hit open. Select next to the sales here. Okay, in the checkbox, you need to check it. We have 4 columns are there, whereas in the previous file we have 5 columns are there. I am going to hit load now. Okay, I'm going to expand it here. And here itself we can compare currency, common column. But look here, the date is there, whereas date 1 is there. Ideally, we need to rename it as a date so that this column value will get in here. Product is there, sales are there, right? So the product sales, currency, but the column 6, something, an additional column, right? Which is not required. Probably we can remove it. But before we remove it, we need to confirm it with our stakeholder if you are working in a project. But in this case, we know very well. Okay, click on the transform data, go to the Power Query Editor. In the Power Query Editor, we have the 2 files, right? Here we have 4 columns. The second file, in the first file, we have 6 columns are there. Let's say, no, I don't need this column because it has nothing in it. There is no point in having it here. I'm going to right on it, remove it. But here I have data is available partially, but the same column location is not available. In that case, I need to go and check with our management. So do I need to include location column? I don't see the location column here. If they say, no, you can remove the location column, then you remove it. And then what it is, product, sales, currency, these 3 column names are same here. Okay, and date 1 is there here, but date is there. Okay, if I don't rename the column here as date, what is going to happen? If I go and combine these 2 queries data into a single file, single query. So first of all, how do I do the append? Select the home ribbon, go to the at the top right corner, and you will find append queries here. Click on the drop down. Don't use the first one. It is always good. Select the second option. Okay, I will tell you why. So here it tells us to select the tables, which tables you want to, or files that you want to combine it or append it. Sales 2. So these two files I want to, if you want to combine more than 2 tables, then you can select this option. You start with the simple one. I'm going to hit OK button. Look here, we have a redundant column here, date 1. In the first file, we don't have a column by the name of date 1, right? Hence, what happens, since we combine both the files data into a single file, but in the second file, the column name was different, right? Blindly, if you append it, we'll create additional column here. And for this column, since date 1 is not available, it will put null till the end of the first file. And at the same time, in the second file, it will put null because in the second file, I don't have the date 1 column. Sorry, date column, right? Date column is not there in the second file. See, up to this, this is a file 1, okay? In the file 1, I don't have a column by the name of date 1 at all. But since I have a date 1 column available here, it includes the date 1 here. After combining these two things, it considered this as an additional column. Actually, it is wrong, right? So ideally, what we should have done here is, before appending the data, I should have changed it to date. 4 columns. So if you go back here, it will get reflected automatically. You don't have to append again. That is one beauty here. Look here. We have only 4 columns. Automatically, the date, see, when I renamed the date 1 columns a date, all the date 1 related data got, moved here. Now it is pretty neat. So this is how you can perform append. Okay, I have another file is there, but one point what you need to remember is, when you use the append to combine more than one file, right? It can include the duplicate records also. For example, in the first file you have 10 records, but of the 10 records, few records mistakenly went in here. When you combine this, those 2 records will also blindly get appended here. It will not remove the duplicate records. Hence, after you append the data, make sure that you are going to remove the duplicate records, but this is not the right way of doing it. You make sure that, in each file, first of all, each file you need to check any duplicate records. How do you check the duplicate records? Go to the keep rows and then keep duplicates. Here, okay, nothing is there. Then you can click on, you can undo this operation. Just check, do you have any duplicates with the help of keep duplicates. Okay, we don't see any duplicates. Very good. Here also you go and check it. But here you don't have duplicate records, but these 2 records went in here mistakenly. But since even though these 2 records went in here, it is not considered duplicate, but only when you combine these 2 things, you will get to know the duplicate, but that you need to check it out manually. Okay, you need to check it out manually. Okay, fine. So now you understood append. And suppose you have another file. So what you can do is, after you join these 2 tables, you have the consolidator, and this one you can use it to, sales 3 file, you can append it. That way you can add it. Okay, fine. The next one is the merge operation. The merge, look here, we have merge queries. I will finish it out quickly. Okay, don't worry, Lavanya. Okay, fine. So here, so we have the merge queries, but before that, we need to load some data file. Okay, so currently we are in Power Query Editor. I'm going to click on the new source. Here itself, we can load the data. Okay, you can go here. Now I'm going to load the dim customer.xls file, customer dimension file. And here, sheet 1. In this Excel file, sheet 1. Okay, but here some issues are there. the column names are not displayed correctly. I'm going to hit OK. Okay, now what I do is I just click on the transform ribbon, use first to as it is, cust ID, everything, right? When it got migrated to your, the column header. Okay, good. So your customer dimension data all got loaded. Here I just give some meaningful name. And I'm going to load, home ribbon, new source. Here, sales fact, or sales fact. Let see that file, sales fact.xls, yes. This is my another file. I'm going to select the first sheet. Okay, all the values are there. And here, can you see cust ID? Okay, this is a common column, exists, common column exists between these two tables. In dim customer also, you can see the customer ID. Can you all see it? This is customer ID. Even in the sales fact table, we can see the customer ID column. Since we have a common column, customer ID exists between these two tables, we can join these two tables. Still, the question is, why should I join the tables? Yes, common column is there. Why should I? Supposing your manager is asking you, can you give me how many number of units we sold by customer name? The customer name is there here. In this file, the customer name is there, whereas here the customer name is not there. Only the customer ID is there. If I wanted to have the customer name here, I need to join these two tables. To join the two tables, I need to have the common column. With this common column, you can join it. So when you join it, what will happen? It will go and check C001 is there. Yeah, it is there. What is the corresponding customer name? It will go and do the lookup here, and then it will pick up the first name, and then it will display first name, comma, whatever the column that you want to make it part of the report. You can quantity, price, all the things. Okay, you can select it. Now I just hit OK. I'm going to rename it as sales fact. So we have two tables, customer dimension table, sales fact table. Okay. Now we need to use merge. So look here on the right side, just above the append queries, we can see the merge queries. Like I said, in the case of append queries, use the second option. I will tell you why we need to use the second option here and there also. Okay, I'll tell you a little later. I'm going to select the second option. Look here, it opened up this dialog box, and here you can see the customer dimension table. Which table you wanted to join it or merge it? You want to merge it with sales fact table. So what is the common column exists between these tables? Customer ID, customer ID. You need to click it manually. Okay, it got selected. And then here, if you see here you can specify the type of the join, left outer join. What is left outer join? All from first table. Let's say all from the customer dimension table. In this case, match from second table. Okay, whatever the matching records between these results and whatever the records, that we have it here, which we don't have it here. That one, all the columns, right? All the values from the left side. Okay. Here itself, they've given the crisp explanation for each type of join: right outer join, full outer join, inner join. This is what you said, right? You want to retrieve the common records between these two. Inner only matching rows. I'm going to hit OK now. Look here, a new query got created. Had I not used the second option, and if I could have used this one, what would have happened? These two tables, got meshed, and you would have left with only this query. These two would not have been available. Okay. with this merge queries, it will directly merge these two data set, and then it will put only one thing output. You will not see this one. Later point, after you merge the data set, if you want to cross verify it, you need to have this data, right? Once you verify everything is correct, then you can remove this one. Look here, C001, the John, Chris, and everything is there. But the sales fact table, how many number of records are there? We have many records are there. Okay, only the matching records we can see, only the 6 records are there. First name, John. No. See, look here. Here we have the sales fact table. This is another interview question. Since I have selected customer dimension table as part of merge, right? In the dialog box, I select on top of that, we saw the customer dimension, and then only we selected sales fact, isn't it? Since I have selected the dim customer table first, customer dimension table columns are showing here, and then the sales fact also got merged here. But here, the data is not visible here. Instead, table is there. Next to the table, if you click on it, don't click on the table. Next to the table, if you click on it, so C001, the customer John, what all the transactions that he made it in our shop, that you can see it here, all the transaction related data here. Right? So many times he visited, okay, 3 or 6 or maybe 10 to 15 times he visited our shop. 5 columns and 6 rows. Okay, and if you select here, the same thing. Each customer, how many number of transactions they made it, that you can see it just by clicking next to that. But this, by seeing here, it is not helpful. You can see this icon here, right? You can see the double arrow icon. This is, you need to click on this one. This is called, expandable table. Okay. Click on this icon, and then I'm going to unselect this option. And from the sales fact table, all I need is just, I'm going to unselect everything. Quantity, sales amount. My manager wants to see, what is the, how many units are purchased by each customer, by their name you want to see it, okay? And the sales amount, profit, quantity, by the customer name he wants to see. Okay, hence I'm going to select only these 3 columns. The rest of the columns I'm not going to select. Customer ID, just for reference, for our reference, I'm going to select it for the time being. Look here, C001, right? C001, C0101. John, John Joseph is a male, and so sometimes one day you purchase 2 units, other day you purchase 4 or something like that. One transaction 2 units, another transaction 4. You can see that one here. So now what we do is, we don't need this column any longer. I'm going to remove this. Gender is not required. Even this one is not required. Sorry, I'm going to unselect this one. I think mistakenly I selected something, deleted something. Okay, 1 second. So here I don't need the customer ID again. Gender, I don't need it. All he wants to say is the customer, forget about the last name. He wants to know only the first name. That's all. And then you select this column, right click on it, remove it. That's all. Okay. The first name was not available in my sales fact table. Only the customer ID was there. To get the first name from the customer dimension table, I need to merge these 2 data sets. Which 2 data set? Customer dimension and sales fact table. The interview, they'll ask you like this. If I wanted to bring the first name column from the customer dimension query, here it is called as a query. Okay, in the Power Query Editor, all the tables are called as a query. From a query A, we want to bring a column into my query B. How can I do that? We can use merge option. In the case of merge, we need to have the common column between these 2 data sets. Otherwise, we cannot merge the data set. Simple. You cannot simply drag and drop from this table to this table. Okay, you need to have a common column. But here we have some error expected. I think because of the customer ID column, I removed it. And anyhow, that is the statistics, you can ignore it. Okay, that is the profiling, you can simply ignore it. That is not required. Okay, so that's all. So this is the one we merged it. This is inner join. Likewise, for you, the exercises, try with all the other type of joins. Everything is pretty simple, isn't it? You don't have to write a SQL query. The SQL query, it is difficult, isn't it? Here, I just go and select merge queries and as new. I'll show you one more example. And then here, the customer dimension table. And I'm going to select the sales fact table. This time, I'm going to use the left outer join. See, even in the case of join, you have the fuzzy matching option is available. Supposing, what are the common column? Customer ID and customer ID. Supposing here you have small letter C is there. Small c 001, but whereas here capital C 001. So select use fuzzy matching to perform, and if you expand this one, you can say so for the joining join condition is given the fuzzy matching here. Okay, enable it, and then in our case, everything is same, hence we don't need it. But this one will literally slow down your performance, fuzzy matching. Okay, because it has to find out the distance between the these two letters. Internally it uses some calculations. Okay, it takes a lot of time, especially if the volume of the data is very huge. Don't use fuzzy. Okay, so you can just check it out, but if you cannot avoid, right, unless otherwise specified or mandated, don't ever use fuzzy matching. It will be literally slow down. Okay, fine. I have selected here left outer join. I'm going to do it. I'm going to hit OK now. Now I'm going to select outer join. Similarly, you try other type of joint. That is an exercise for you all, and come up with your observation. And here also I'm going to select this one. And here similarly, okay, I'm going to unselect everything. I'm going to have only the sales amount profit. So I wanted to know which customers did not buy any product so far. Okay. And after I expanded this, I'm going to click on the drop down in the customer ID. And if I see here, I don't see any blank values. If you see any blank values here, that means that specific customer did not. So what you do is, you take the product dimension table. Yes, product ID and product is a common column between the custom product and sales fact. You try that one also. Okay. There I have some blank values are there. Some products, there is no corresponding transaction that is on the sales fact table. Okay. Here, as usual, I don't, whatever the columns that you don't need it, you can select it, right click on it, remove it. Here, almost all the customer, they bought the products, hence the left out to join is not helpful. Okay, then we can ignore it. Okay, try likewise. You try left anti-join, right anti-join with the don't try the same customer dimension sales fact. Sales fact, let it be there. You try with the product dimension table. Product dimension sales fact. I put some null there. Okay, that is the reason I wanted to check it out. And try all kind of join with the product dimension with the sales fact table, and get back to me about your observation. Okay. See, you are lucky. It's all the number of records are very less, but in the real time, very, very big. First of all, opening the Power BI desktop is a longer time, isn't it? On top, to load the 10 million records or 8 million records, it takes literally 6 to 7 hours. You might be thinking, okay, 7 hours, okay, fine, evening 5 o'clock. After the data gets loaded, we'll leave office. But exactly by 5 p.m., the job will fail. Again, you end up staying, that day, full day, night. Save as, append, merge. It's already there. Merge to, I'll put it here. I will share this file right after the session, but without file, you practice it. So in today's session, what we discussed about the fuzzy grouping, and also we discussed about append and merge. In the merge, we discussed about different types of joins and when to use which type of join also we discussed. And also we discussed about the rules that you need to, or the prerequisites to append the data set, right? Before you append append more than one file, you need to check whether the prerequisite have been met or not. The number of columns are same, and the data types are same. The column names also same. Okay. In case of any additional columns are there, you have to check with your stakeholders, customers. Okay. If they say, yeah, you remove it, fine. All right. Any questions so far with this?